is good? And good evening, Defenders. Just about 9:30 p.m. on a beautiful Monday evening in Los Angeles. You know my voice. It's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert, talking to y'all after Game 3 of the World Series, after Game 10 of our 2-year series against the Vancouver Whitecaps, and Game 1 of our 3-game series of the first round of the Audi MLS Cup playoffs. Welcome to episode 335 of Defenders of the Bank. And this clip, prepared not by Panda Productions. No. This one, done by Philly himself. This is the episode in a nutshell.
The king has returned.
And just like that, that's the end of the episode, everybody. Philly, you didn't even get to talk on this one. Everybody have a good night. You know how we like to end everything. Bye-bye. Nah, just kidding. All right. Philly Monster Studios, world famous, the man among many towns, whether it's Oceanside, Riverside, or any of the other sides of Los Angeles that he frequents. I give you Christian Philly Philemon.
Good evening, Los Angeles, or good morning if you're listening to this in that highway traffic. That clip, that Scarf just played of Rafiki from the animated version of Disney's The Lion King was about as much playing time as Carlos Vela had. But still, the energy and the electricity in the building was palpable, and you can hear it, no question about it, on the broadcast, which is what I had to listen to because I've missed a bunch of LAFC games as of late because, well, I've got broadcasting obligations. And as much as I love y'all Defenders, still chasing that dream. But so good to finally get Carlos back. So good to get another playoff win. So good for it to be against Vancouver. Again. Oh, please, LAFC. Don't let another game at home against Vancouver happen. I don't want to pay for another Vancouver game, especially one I can't go to. But anyway, I digress. It was a glorious evening in Los Angeles. There are plenty of y'all out there that are listening to this that are riding the high of the Dodgers defeating the Yankees. And even though I feel like I finally got over the PTSD of the NLCS, the one thing I share in common with all of you Dodger fans out there is I too want to see the Yankees lose. So we're all in a good mood as a result of that.
Yeah, what a weekend and week in Los Angeles. The Lakers are off to a high, led by old man LeBron's triple-double. The Dodgers doing things that they haven't done since 1963, the only time that the Yankees ever got swept by the Dodgers in the World Series. Of course, mourning the losses of both Fernando Valenzuela and Philadelphia Union goalkeeper Holden Trent, who definitely was on the minds of everybody at BMO in a pregame tribute. But, oh my goodness, what a night at BMO. Look, I'll say this. I was in the building. The atmosphere was meh. The 3252 was great. But you know what? The tailgate before, considering it was a Sunday and everybody else had nowhere else to be except Church of BMO Stadium, the chorus of the black and gold, it was kind of a subdued tailgate. I barely even got there in time to tailgate with everybody. The mood inside the stadium, it was hard to feel people getting excited for what was literally our 10th match in 2 years against the Vancouver Whitecaps. We are not exaggerating when we say 10th match in 2 years against the Vancouver Whitecaps. It just felt a little different. The players, honestly, they hate this format as well. Our buddy Justin Ruderman asked Aaron Long straight up. He said he hates this format. It was a great question. It was hard to get excited. And then Philly, after the 80th minute, we started to feel the rumblings of what might happen. And I will say this, other than obviously the 2 goals where the place went absolutely bonkers, as electric as BMO Stadium has felt this season, the return of El Rey.
Yeah, from what the news reports were saying is that the chant started beginning right around, that 60th minute. Every time he got up, everybody was excited. And it was good to finally see Carlos back. I mean, we hadn't seen Carlos on the pitch since the MLS Cup final in Columbus, a game in which he played 90 minutes and had 2 shots and a yellow card. His final stats prior to this game. But he adds that excitement, that oomph, if you will, We've all been waiting on it for quite some time. There's always been questions. I know Steve's gotten tired of fielding questions. When are we going to see Carlos? When are we going to see Carlos? We all at some point agreed to stop asking them because it seemed rather redundant and annoying. But now the questions have been answered. He's back. And as I said before, it looks in better shape than he did when he came back after that COVID hiatus. So whatever Carlos can add to our team is going to be incredible. Certainly excitement and energy in BMO Stadium, but hopefully an assist and a great curler off his left foot as well.
Yeah, look, it was definitely the most excited that we got in the match. Once we saw him warm up, the 32-52 cheered him on there. They did start Carlos Vela chants early, but when he and he alone jogged over, and we'll talk about it a little bit more as we get closer to the moment, when he and he alone jogged over and everybody knew, all right, it's finally happening, it was almost as if all of BMO Stadium kind of breathed a collective sigh of relief finally. But I'll say this, I don't think Steve Trundle loved talking about it even after the match. I don't think Denis Bouanga loved answering my question about it after the match. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. And look, I guess when his press conference time wouldn't be longer than his actual playing time, we can expect to hear from Carlos Vela in front of a microphone at some point. Mikey, all the appreciation of the world to you in the chat. And I know you also had the scarf as well. Couldn't appreciate you guys more. Everybody who's out there. And again, everybody who accesses Defenders, whether it's on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on any of our social media outlets, or on wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you all. The code is working. If anybody had trouble, I want to talk about it right up top. If anybody had trouble and you are interested in ordering anything from 500 level, not just Defenders of the Bank stuff, but LAFC stuff, your favorite football team, your favorite baseball team, whatever it is, head on over to 500level.com and enter in the code Defenders20. Defenders20, and it absolutely will save you 20%. Bam, unfortunately, it will not get you any money off of Scarf's OnlyFans account. But either way, Defenders20. If you want to get 20% off anything at 500level.com, they have all kinds of really fun stuff. So make sure you check that out. Philly.
Yep. And don't forget, look, we're trying to build up this YouTube page. Your subscribes, your likes, your referrals, you sending this info to your buddies, your friends, your grandmas, your pops, your uncles, your former college sister's roommate, whatever. Hit that like button. Follow us. Subscribe. Let's help us grow this YouTube following. Yes, don't forget to check out defendersofthebank.com, the shop. If you DM Defenders personally, I will give you an amazing discount code, but you got to DM the account, and yes, I will respond. Now, I heard that the tailgate was subdued. Obviously, I wasn't there. But a lot of the tailgates have been rather subdued as of late. And I think the reason being is because what? This was our 47th game in all competitions this season, 100th game since the start of 2023. Dare I say we're mildly burnt out on games. Our wallets are feeling a little slimmer. Our waistlines are a little bigger. I might be speaking for myself in this case, but there's been a lot of games going on. And this best round, the best of three bullshit, and I'm sorry to say that. I know it's family friendly. This really is a crap format. I just hope LAFC doesn't put us in a situation where we have to pay the extra cost of the game. If they beat Vancouver, cool. But this format really does suck, and it needs to go away. A home and an away and an aggregate, I'm good with that. They do that in world football. But this best of three nonsense has to stop because it sucks for us, sucks for the players, sucks for our bank accounts. Let us move on and make this playoff push a little more timely than what it is.
And for all of you that do love our podcast for being family friendly, welcome back, Philly. It's good to see you, bud.
Yeah, I've missed y'all. And I want to apologize personally to Luke and Eric. I was supposed to be on this preview. I got busy at the MASL Combine. It's a really busy weekend for myself, Panda, and Jonathan Reimer. Went from Burbank, spent the day in Oceanside, then drove to Riverside to call a game. I'm going back to Oceanside tomorrow. I'll be back at Riverside on Thursday. I'm adding mileage, my friends, and this is where I miss public transportation and trains. And while I know I can take a train to Oceanside, it's not exactly efficient.
Well, look, we're going to have the Surfliner Showdown next season anyway, so you might as well get used to it. Can't wait to see what happens down there with San Diego FC when LAFC comes a-calling. But look, we got a long way to go before we get there. In fact, we got to talk about this match against Vancouver. But first, let's get into our usual suspects this day in LAFC history and just a couple news and notes. October 28th is when the game took place. And on October 28th, 1999, one of the most fashionable men in all of the USL was born. What? Oh, Philly's going to be back, I guess.
Trust me.
Okay. I know what he's going to go get. One of the most fashionable men in all of the USL was born, a former member of the Black and Gold, October 28th, 1999. Happy birthday to friend of the podcast, Shaft Brewer Jr. That's right, a name from the Wayback Machine, Shaft Brewer Jr. In 2024, he played 31 matches with North Carolina FC, scoring 1 goal. And in the previous 2 seasons, I don't know how I missed this, being a supporter of the Forward Madison Flamingos themselves, he was playing the last 2 seasons with Union Omaha, where he played in 41 matches down in USL 1, and his only goal in those 41 matches was indeed against the Flock, the Forward Madison Flamingos. So just want to wish a happy birthday and a shout out to friend of the podcast, Shaft Brewer Jr., a member of the OG Black and Gold crew. That is this day in LAFC history. Philly can't find his Shaft Brewer jersey.
I'm bummed. I have a Shaft Brewer jersey. I have a Philip Edgermato one too. That one I found. I don't know where the Shaft Brewer jersey is. I can't believe it. Oh geez. Maybe I'm losing jerseys. Maybe Panda's throwing them out. I will tell you, I do have this idea, and keep an eye out on it. I came across a jersey the other day that I hadn't worn or seen since 2019. And so that being the case, I think I'm going to start selling some of these things. So I'm going to create a store called Philly's Kids Jerseys, Scarves, and Hats. I'll put it on eBay and TikTok. I got a lot of cool stuff, some very obscure stuff, some very cool stuff. I got Carlos Vela Arsenal jerseys. So I think I need to start selling jerseys, because if I'm losing them and I'm not finding them and I haven't worn them in years, I probably need to get rid of them. And what better way to get rid of them than by making a couple of bucks?
I love Lechero. He's not wrong with his comment down there in the chat. It is news and notes time, and there's not many news and notes around this time of year because, you know what? Not a ton of transactions, not a ton of things happening involving the Black and Gold, but something that we have always been a part of is the end of the year awards for Major League Soccer. And 3 LAFC players have been named end of the year awards finalists. I am shocked, I tell you, that Denis Bouanga has not been named a finalist for the MVP. I understand he probably wouldn't have won it, but man, I don't know how he didn't make it as a finalist for the MVP. They named 5. Philly, Ilie Sanchez as a finalist of the Audi Goals Drive Progress Impact Award, going up against Andrew Farrell of the New England Revolution and Darlington Nagby of the Columbus Crew. I have no idea, Philly, what the metrics are on that, but we all know Ilie is a class dude, and it's for his work off the pitch in the community. But you and I, my friend, we are in agreement that we both feel LAFC's other 2 awards finalists shouldn't just be finalists. They should win the whole shooting match. Philly, let's talk first about Hugo Lloris.
First of all, he's going to be contending with Christian Kalina from Charlotte FC and somebody who we know real well, Patrick Schulte from the Columbus Crew. If we are doing this based on name alone, Hugo Lloris wins. No brainer. If we are doing this on statistics alone, Hugo Lloris wins. Schulte did not even play as many matches as Hugo Lloris did. And Hugo, with the exception of one game, he started every single one of them. His stats are far better than that of both Schulte's and Kalina's. So if we're going to do things based on merit, he had better win MLS Goalkeeper of the Year despite his name. His name could have been Philly, and if he would have had those stats, Philly would have won. So my argument here is Hugo Lloris absolutely should win 33 matches. He allowed 40 goals, 97 saves, 19 wins, 12 clean sheets, setting club records across the board. Schulte played in 29 games, so I wouldn't even take him into consideration. Nearly 20 saves less than Lloris, several wins less than Lloris, but he's tied and 2 clean sheets less. And Kalina would be the only viable competitor. He actually played in the most matches compared to the other two. 121 saves, 14 wins, 12 clean sheets. So while he might have had more saves, at the end of the day, it's the wins that really matter. All keepers are tied on clean sheets. If you don't give it to Hugo, this ish is rigged.
Yeah, look, I think Hugo should absolutely win it. The 12 clean sheets you mentioned, an LAFC club record for a single season. Kalina matching him with those 12 clean sheets. I'm a little worried they'll give it to Christian Kalina only because Charlotte's not going to win anything else this season. The issue might be he gave up a few less goals in one more match played and had to make 121 saves to Hugo's 97, but that's not Hugo's fault if things aren't getting through. 19 wins to 14, though. God, you got to think that's a big gap. Hugo should absolutely win this award. And another one.
Yeah, 2 assists, absolutely.
I would be, and 3 assists, by the way, right? 3 assists.
Yes.
Look, I would be shocked if Kike Oliveira does not win MLS Young Player of the Year, strictly because if you look at his numbers, it's one thing. If you look at his impact, it's a whole nother thing. Diego Luna of Real Salt Lake, 17 goal contributions in 34 matches, 9 goals, 8 assists. Solid. Diego Gomez, 13 goal contributions, 6 goals, 7 assists in 26 matches. And then you have Kike Oliveira, 19 goal contributions, including 14 finding the back of the net with 5 assists. He played in 32 matches. And Philly, the big thing for me, every competition that Kike Oliveira has played in this season, he has scored. MLS, Leagues Cup, Open Cup, now the playoffs. It doesn't matter. Whatever and wherever Kike Oliveira is playing, he is scoring, 15 goals on the season now for Kike Oliveira? I think maybe
14 goals, 5 assists in 32 matches.
Unbelievable. He's got to win Young Player of the Year.
Yeah, look, Diego Gomez, not a focal part of Inter Miami's attack. There are several names that come well before Diego Gomez. Now, that list narrows itself down a little bit with Real Salt Lake, and I actually like Diego Luna. I think I heard somewhere, like, for him to learn better interpersonal communication skills, I think he took a job working as like a barista or something like that. I don't know the details of the story exactly, but I really like that. Yes, he's a big part of RSL's attack, but still a lot of that offense flows through Chicho Arango. With LAFC, Oliveira's one part of that 3-headed attack demon that we have up top, along with Denny the Destroyer and Mighty Matty Bogush. Oliveira, not only just a young player of the year, but an important part of the LAFC attack. And again, if we are basing this on merit, same argument that I threw out there for Lloris applies for Oliveira. Merit, stats, everything absolutely deserves to be there.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's great. And by the way, he would be following in the footsteps of 2020's winner, Diego Rossi, who won it for LAFC before he moved on to Fenerbahce and then, of course, now over to Columbus. So it would be great if we continue the tradition. Look, we know the Dodgers, in addition to 5 straight rookies of the year, they've won Rookie of the Year more than any other club in baseball. So why not keep the record going at LAFC. Speaking of the young guys, Philly, LAFC 2 made the MLS Next Cup playoffs for the first time, taking on St. Louis City 2 on Sunday, October 20th. And it was good early as LAFC 2 got out to an early lead. Nick Sullivan 18th minute goal, and it was a pretty one. But unfortunately, as we have seen a few times from the young kids this season, a second half collapse dooming the black and gold too. A St. Louis goal in the 63rd minute leveled the score, and a backbreaker, an absolute backbreaker by their best player and leading scorer in the 93rd minute sunk LAFC 2. So they end their season with a first round playoff exit. But kudos to our boys over at LAFC 2 for a fantastic season. 13-13-8, I believe, in their matches this year. A huge improvement from the year before and their first playoff berth. So good on LAFC 2.
Yeah, speaking of the Young Bucks, want to give a shout out to the Bombino family. I don't know if you saw this on Facebook, Scarf, but Nadia Bombino posted a photo of the fam at the game, and they were rocking a Defenders of the Bank t-shirt, that Saved by the Bell style one. So shout out to the Bombinos. Thank you so much for supporting Defenders of the Bank. We're big fans of Luca, and we're glad that you guys like and listen to our pod. So shout out to y'all as well.
Philly, I've been talking about him since last year. Number 42, Luca Bombino, a defender of both the bank and of Titan Stadium quite a bit. Down there at Cal State Fullerton. Love this kid, Luca Bombino. So excited he got his first team contract this year. And just a reminder, for all your ACFC needs, please be sure to listen to Angel City Chicks and follow Angel City Chicks on your social media platforms. Philly, very excited because when Vancouver comes to town, that usually means Kimberly Harvey is singing the national anthems, and you're going to get to ask Jordan what he thought, or maybe not. I don't know, right?
All right, well, you kind of let the cat out of the bag unless scheduling conflicts occur, and they can, which is why I don't want to say anything as of yet. I don't like to overpromise and underproduce, which I feel like I did a lot of in college, but that's 20 years past me. Yes, the idea is on Soccer in 60, which will air live on Thursday at 4 p.m. We're going to have Jordan Harvey on the podcast, but fingers crossed. Didn't want to say it. Scarf already let the cat out of the bag. So check out Soccer in 60. Where, you ask? Well, head on over to the Empire Strikers YouTube page and make sure you like, subscribe, that as well. I do a lot of work with them. I am their play-by-play guy. I do a lot of media there. It will be there, or if you can't make the 4 p.m. start time, it'll be on all your podcast platforms, your Apples, your Spotifys, your Stitchers, and whatnot. Soccer in 60. It is an ABC radio show done on 1490 AM KMET radio in the Inland Empire, covering all the local teams. Yes, we cover the team down the 110. Had a good interview with John Nelson recently, who also scored a great goal against Colorado. We interview LAFC players, Orange County Soccer Club, Angel City FC, and of course the Empire Strikers. So all goes well. We'll have Jordan Harvey on Wednesday on the show on Thursday.
Yeah, it'll go well. Jordan's a great guy, by the way, too. He's got a lot going on with LAFC 2 right now these days. His wife had a little bit more to do with the LAFC versus Vancouver match. And Philly, we're 23 minutes in, so why the heck not? Let's talk about Vancouver. Get excited, folks. We really aren't kidding. It's our 10th match in 2 seasons. 10th match in 2 seasons against Vancouver. It's crazy to think that only the Galaxy and Seattle Sounders have played LAFC more in our history. 21 matches over the course of our 7 years. But again, 10 in 2 years. But LAFC improving to 7 wins, just 2 losses and 1 draw in those 7. And Philly, what I'm most excited about is that away from the friendly confines of BMO Stadium, which is where we are headed, in these last 10 matches that we've played, we're 3-0-1 in our 4 last away matches. So, hey, maybe this whole thing isn't going to come back to BMO Stadium, as we can certainly hope.
I mean, fingers crossed. I'll be honest, a little nervous coming into the game against Vancouver. The offensive performance they put against Portland was utterly impressive. And they had been dealt such a lousy hand because they couldn't play at BC Place. So they had to have a home game in Providence Park. And that's not a friendly environment for opposing teams. So they didn't have home field advantage. But the way they absolutely smashed Portland was hilarious. Their head coach, Portland's head coach, one of David Beckham's former teammates, made the statement that God is a Timbers fan. Meanwhile, Vanni Sartini responded with, "That's good if God is a Timbers fan. I don't believe in God," which is hilarious. And God, if there is a God out there, as per Vanni Sartini, hasn't been very nice to him. We've seen Vanni Sartini so many times. Genuine Cougar in the chat says he was giving Groove vibes from, oh my God, what's the movie?
Minions?
Thank you. From the Minions. To me, it's like a combination of Gru meets Rowan Atkinson, otherwise Mr. Bean. I love Vanni Sartini. I think he's hilarious. And while we played 100 games in the last 2 years, I'd venture, 10% of them have been against us. If I were Vanni Sartini, I'd hate us too. Absolutely.
I'll say this. I don't know what they were saying to each other at halftime, but they both walked up to the fourth official. We're talking a whole bunch. And then they put their arms around each other and walked towards the locker room together. Steve Cherundolo and Vanni Sartini. That's just an odd dude, man. I mean, look, he's got to be sick of BMO Stadium for sure.
I mean, we're sick of him. He's no doubt sick of us.
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, this is a ridiculous format. We've talked about it kind of tongue-in-cheek, joking about it a whole ton. Abel, that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I'm going to think about that in the morning when I pull out my coffee, Abel. I'm going to think mayo in there. And honestly, I might actually try it.
No, thank you.
We've joked. It doesn't apply to you.
We've joked about it a little tongue-in-cheek, but when Aaron Long was asked, hey, how do the players feel about this format? Very succinctly, we hate it. We hate it. It's ridiculous. We all hate it. Look, here's the crazy part. If Apple TV wants to milk more games out of this whole thing, they're doing it wrong, folks. They're just trying to milk more guaranteed games from Miami in the first round. Let's just say something crazy were to happen and Miami loses big in their first match or gets upset in their second match of a home and home. Then at that point, there's no third match, right? So they dream up this incredible first round playoff scenario where you have to play a best of three. So even if Miami doesn't look good in a match, they get to play a third. But after that, they're all just one-offs. If they just made every leg a home and away aggregate, that's actually 8 games guaranteed down the road instead of just the 6 that they get if they get out of the first round. I don't know. It's just so stupid. I can't stand
this. It's a no-brainer. It's been proven all over the flipping world that works. Why would we try to do things differently? Why don't we just institute 3-pointers again or some nonsense that they had back in the inception of this? If you want to standardize this, which, by the way, they had that conversation about getting things on track calendar-wise with the rest of the world, I think that would be the most genius thing that's happened in a while. But yeah, this best of 3 thing is just garbage. This isn't the freaking wild card of the MLB or the NBA playoffs. Home and away, extend it like Scarf said, and keep it that way. Leave the final alone, though.
Yeah, final 1-game final. Here's my issue, too, with home and away. I get it. MLS is American soccer. It's not world football. I get it. But there's a lot of really stupid things that we've done trying to define what American soccer is. Go back and look at the first 5-10 years of Major League Soccer. This is one of those things that the rest of the world looks at and just laughs at us. This best of 3. You ask Hugo, you ask Olivier, you ask any of the players. I have to wonder what Messi and Suarez and Alba and Busquets and all these guys are thinking about this ridiculous.
They're not thinking about it because they know it's not going to come to that against Atlanta.
And imagine this. And David Day completely disagrees with us, which is fine. That's what the chat is for. I love you. But imagine this.
Day against the rest of the world, that's fine.
But imagine this. Imagine how significant that 5th-minute stoppage time goal would have been if we're playing on aggregate. If we're playing on aggregate, Steve Cherundolo may have turned the table over in the press conference. He would have been so upset for that last-minute goal. But what's the difference between 2-1 and 5-0? Absolutely nothing in this format. It's absolutely ridiculous. But look, either way, I would prefer everything just be single elimination, and you have to go on a 4-game win streak to win the whole damn thing. But then again, who knows? Lafferty's taking shots right now.
There's too many people talking about mayo and coffee. I'm kind of intrigued. Although actually, I hate mayo by itself.
Oh, God. All right, let's let's get into the lineups. Philly, I'll take it first with our boy.
Day-to-day does have a point. That St. Louis Sporting Kansas City game last year was pretty epic. I think I'm just saying it because I don't want to pay extra money. Scarf, you and I both know how much our tickets are for Founders Club if we get another Vancouver game, and it's not going to get any easier as LAFC advances into the playoffs. That's my concern.
Yeah,
that's my selfish concern.
Philly and I don't have an issue paying money for Founders Club season tickets to see these incredible playoff games. We're not upset at the club for taking money out of our pockets. That's what we signed up for. We just don't want it to be against Vancouver anymore, damn it. No more Vancouver. That's all we're asking.
Speaking of which, let's talk about Vancouver for the 2700th time in the podcast's history.
Vanni Sartini, 4-3-2-1 formation, beginning with Yohei Takaoka on the back line. The back line of four being Matthias Laborda, Ranko Veselinovic, Sam Adekugbe, and a player who is still apparently one of our own, Tristan Blackman, making his 101st appearance in a Vancouver Whitecap kit. Only played, 79 caps for LAFC. But I don't know, does this one go on the LAFC side or on the Vancouver side for one Tristan Blackman? He's one of our own. In the midfield, Pedro Vite, Andreas Cubas, and the player who I was most excited to see in this match, and a player who certainly did some things in the first 25, 30 minutes, would be the free transfer from Southampton, the Scotsman himself, Stuart Armstrong, the newest midfielder, who really connected Ryan Gauld and Brian White very well up top, and at forward in the third spot there is Ali Ahmed. In the 18, the five players we would see were Alessandro Schopp, Sebastian Berhalter, Fafa Pikal, Levante Johnson, and that man again, Damir Kreilach. That's the 18 and the five players who we saw. Let's talk about the lineup, Philly, for LAFC.
When you have 47 games in a season and 100 across 2 seasons, and this is a fact, players are going to get injured. And we're lucky to have the lineup that we do. And welcome back, Jesus David Murillo. Good to see him on the bench, although he would not feature. The lineup that we put out there, strong. Hugo Lloris, the soon-to-be MLS goalkeeper of the year, would line up in between the sticks. Sergi Palencia, Maxime Chanot, Aaron Long, Kike Oliveira, Timothy Tillman, Lewis O'Brien, Ryan Hollingshead, Fatty Bogusz, Olivier Giroud, and Denis Bouanga. Coming off of the bench would be Marlon, Kai Kamara, Ilya Sanchez, and of course, Carlos Vela. And let's not forget, Scarf, both teams shared a common 12th man. And his name is CWM Woodwork. Both teams would utilize CWM Woodwork quite a bit.
Yeah, I think we had, 4 in this match at least? There was
4 indeed.
There's a lot of Woodwork happening.
Got greatly acquainted with Mr. Woodwork because while he was with us, as Vancouver hit him a couple of times, he quickly switched sides.
Yeah, and only on, by the way, balls that Matty Bogusz put towards the Woodwork. That was a rough one for Matty. All right, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I am still not a big fan of Olivier Giroud, but it is what it is. And at least in the second minute, we are trying to get Olivier Giroud involved early as he had a relatively open header in the box. The header, the service wasn't quite high enough for him. He was still trying to put it in on frame, but well wide of goal just 2 minutes in. And Philly, you mentioned that 12th man for both clubs. That would be Brian White awakening the Woodwork in the 7th minute. And that player who I really thought this guy is going to have a big impact on the match was Stuart Armstrong. And that little touch pass to find Brian White, I'm telling you, the fact that Stuart Armstrong is there now, he came over from Southampton, had, I think it was something like 13 goal contributions or 15 goal contributions in this last English championship season. He's represented Scotland on the national team 50 plus times now in a Scotland shirt, which is pretty incredible. This guy is going to be a big player for Vancouver next season if he can figure out how to connect those two incredible players that they have up top. And he absolutely did with Brian White early. Philly, we should have been down 1-0 after 7 minutes after Brian White absolutely hammers that far post.
Yeah, what Brian White does really good is finds himself in a position to really get that good look. I mean, he cut through in the middle of Sergi Palencia and Maxime Chanel, and Stuart Armstrong hit him, and White had Hugo beat on that left side, and we got really lucky. Dare I say luck of the Irish lucky, because that's when we saw CWM woodwork in play. That should have been a goal, and that really would have changed the entire shape and trajectory of this game. Look, we did allow an early goal against San Jose on decision day, and it really led to our benefit. But the last thing you want to do is start a playoff game on your back heels, down within less than 10 minutes. We really got lucky, but that would be the first time Mr. Woodwork would come into play. Brian White, a dangerous player, the leading scorer for the Vancouver Whitecaps, and he almost made us look silly really early.
Yeah, look, Stuart Armstrong again in the 14th minute, as they're continuing to work through him, finds Pedro Vite, and Vite's shot slid just to the just wide of an outstretched Hugo Lloris and the post. But again, I just really liked what Stuart Armstrong did there. And in the 15th minute, I have to share a quick story because this was amazing. In the 15th minute, Denis Bouanga from distance, Takaoka made the save, and the rebound headed well over the bar by Ryan Hollingshead. But the way that they showed it on the because I rewatched the match when I got home, the way that they showed it, they put the camera on Olivier Giroud, who was like holding his head, and you thought, oh, wait a minute, was that Ryan Hollingshead or was that Olivier Giroud? And the cameraman wasn't the only person to think that. Philly, last match, one of my favorite things is we're waiting after for some of the players to come out. And Ryan Hollingshead's mom is waiting. Mother-in-law, right? Mother-in-law is waiting for Ryan to come out. And one of my favorite things ever happened.
That's why I forgot this. Yeah.
Olivier Giroud comes walking out of the locker room. And look, Ryan Hollingshead's mother-in-law, I don't know if she has a prescription for eyeglasses or whatever it might be, or if Ryan Hollingshead is just this attractive. But as she sees Olivier Giroud in the distance, she goes, oh, there's Ryan coming now. I got to go, guys. So sorry. I'd love to stay and chat more. And she sees Olivier and she starts walking towards Olivier as if it were Ryan Hollingshead. Is that a compliment for Ryan, or should Olivier be upset? I can't tell.
That was quite funny. It's we had a great cackle about that. I'm glad that you rehashed that. That wasn't that long ago, actually. It wasn't the second to last game. It was like the third to last game, I'm pretty sure. It was the game right before decision day, if I'm not mistaken. I've lost track of games. I mean, we've had nearly 50 this season, so I've already forgotten games this season. But that moment was pretty fun.
Yeah. Look, not nearly as much fun, though, Philly, as the 27th minute. Look, we joked about it. He's one of our own, but a big thank you to the arm of Tristan Blackman.
Oh, without a doubt, the University of Pacific's finest, our second pick in the expansion draft in 2018 to go along with Joao Matinho, who I wonder what he's up to these days. He went over to Orlando, and actually I lost track of him. But Tristan Blackman, forever black and gold. And this is just, another example of him reminding us how much he misses us. Respect. The counter. Giroud goes over to Matty, who fires his shot, catches Blackman's arm, and as you saw, if you watched the replay, not even Mo Adu or Keith Costigan were convinced that warranted a handball. The official, on the other hand, thought otherwise, and that sets the stage for Denis the Destroyer, who, had a case of missing a PK in the past, but, it led to a David Martinez. But who else would you want to have 12 yards into the keeper? As I've heard John McCarthy say in plenty of interviews, the pressure isn't on the keeper. It's on the person taking the penalty. And Danny has no problem with the lights on him. He shines the best when the spotlight is on him.
Jagiellonia Białystok of the Poland First Division is where Joao Moutinho is right now. He has been there all season. It's his first year. He's played in Champions League qualifiers, Europa League qualifying. So he's playing in some cool matches. I did not know that is where Joao Moutinho was. And that was a great MLS Super Draft, right, Philly? We had Joao at the first pick. Then the Galaxy take, that kid out of Stanford. Oh, my God, it's going to bother me. I'll remember his name in a minute. He was all of like 5'7", standing next to Zlatan warming up in his first match. I'll have to go back and remember who that is.
Oh, geez, that kid retired.
Yeah, he retired. Thomas Hilliard Arce, right? Was that
Yes,
was that
he
his name?
played down the road. That's right.
Yeah, there you go. And then of course we draft Tristan Blackman. He's one of our own. But yeah, Philly. What was really nice was to see how definitively Denis Bouanga grabbed the ball and put it on the line and said, "Look, I know I might have missed my last one. Y'all back up. I'm still the guy." So he knocked it in emphatically. Takaoka looked terrible. Moved well before Denis had even struck the ball. But just a great takeaway, right, by Matty Bogusz. And I loved, look, as much as I dump on Olivier Giroud on this pod, and I do, I dump on him a ton. I love the little 1-2 back and forth between Matty and Olivier Giroud. It was beautifully executed. Matty doing a great job of getting as much as he can onto that shot. And I didn't think it was a handball at first. And then they showed the back view, and you can clearly see that arm flailing back. We were like, oh, hey, that is a PK. All right, we got one. So then he steps up. Philly, 8 goals since we've entered the league in the postseason. Only one man, Raul Ruidiaz, has more playoff goals since 2018, and that's kind of unfair because Denis hasn't been here since 2018, and Raul Ruidiaz has a no-doubter from Denis Bouanga, which was nice.
His 66th goal for LAFC in 93 games. His 66th goal in 93 games. I mean, calling him Denny the Destroyer for a reason, and you're right. I mean, only Raul Ruidiaz has more. 8 goals in 9 playoff games with LAFC? And funny, 8 goals in 9 all-time games against the Whitecaps. Denny loves Vanni Sartini and Vancouver.
Yeah, look, he shows up too. That's what we love about Denis. It was a kind of a ho-hum rest of the first half until we get to stoppage time. And in the second minute, just a dangerous spot for a set piece, man. And it's one of those things where if either Brian White or Ryan Gauld could really get going and start feeling some momentum, Vancouver can play downhill in a hurry. They are excellent on the ball, off the ball, moving, everything that they do. They're a solid pair. And now again with Stuart Armstrong, I think they're going to be really deadly. But you give Vancouver a set piece in a dangerous position, and we did almost pay for it in that second minute. Ryan Gauld hitting the absolute corner of the goal, the woodwork. It was both a crossbar
CWM Woodwork, our teammate.
Yeah.
CWM Woodwork, the 12th man, our teammate.
CWM Woodwork. I love it. It sounds like an old department store. Like, go shop at CWM Woodwork.
Well, that's the point. That's the point of the name.
For all your men's
Woodwork is as old as time, Scarf.
For all your men's haberdashery needs, CWM Woodwork. Look, second minute, another piece of the woodwork, and then we get into the half. Philly 1-0, but not really feeling super confident. Just that we're up 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, both teams held possession at an even split. LAFC with 9 shots to Vancouver's 8. We had 3 on target. They had 1. Couple of big chances by both sides. Both teams passed the ball pretty well. We were a little more aggressive than them as far as fouls are concerned. And yeah, a couple of set pieces a pop. Relatively even other than the score. And we're lucky that that's the case twice because of CWM Woodwork. There's anything you're going to take out of episode 335, whatever the hell we're at, is CWM Woodwork in the first half was our friend.
There you go. He was Vancouver's friend in the second half, but not until the hour mark. And that's unfortunate because Denis Bouanga came a-calling before the hour mark with a beautiful ball to Olivier Giroud, to Ryan Hollingshead, to Matty Bogusz, to a sprinting Kike Oliveira up the right side. And Kike, he has been as confident of a finisher as we have had this season, absolutely hammering it past Yohei Takaoka. Takaoka got a left hand on it, but he's lucky he didn't get more of a left hand on it because it would have just taken the whole handoff into the goal behind him. It would have been unfortunate because he's a goalkeeper and he needs to use both hands. He wouldn't have had a hand, so that would have been a whole thing. They would have had to bring up their backup keeper, and maybe Thomas Asal would have got confused and thought it was him that was supposed to go in. Either way, just a lot of things that would have happened on that play had Takaoka lost a hand. But he didn't lose a hand. He just lost the 1-0 disadvantage, and it became a 2-0 disadvantage. And I'm going to stop talking now.
I got Tacoca's left hand right here. For those listening, that was Philly with a vulgar hand gesture. 14th goal of the season for Kike Oliveira. And the thing that I really enjoyed the most about it was Kike's celebration. He just kept pointing to Matty Bogusz. I loved that. That looked like a team succeeding together and having fun doing it. That's what it's about. No individual stars who kind of run off and do their own thing. There's chemistry clearly within this group of players, and they have fun, and it's chemistry and success that we need in order to bring home another chip, and that was an example of it. So many passes getting strung along, starting right back off with a newly bleached hair, Aaron Long. It looked great. The passing textbook efficiency, slicing through Vancouver's defense like a pizza cutter on a Tombstone microwave pizza. I had one of those earlier, which is blasphemous for a New Yorker, but Panda got a really good deal. 2 pizzas for $10. Couldn't say no to that at Target. But anyway, it's the chemistry that mattered, and that looked really good right there. 14th goal in all competition, once again for Kike. Great passing. So many players get the hockey assist. You get the hockey assist. You get the hockey assist. CWM Woodwork could have got the hockey assist. Either way, we're up 2-0, and that goal really saved our ass.
And I want to know what the heck got into Ryan Hollingshead and Aaron Long after the goal, because they approached the referee and they were hot about something. If anybody has any idea of what happened there, I don't know what it was. It was definitely dissent, because Ryan Hollingshead got the first one, and then Aaron Long came over the top and said something else, and the referee hadn't even put the card back in his pocket yet. He just turned around and said, all right, you get one too. Maybe they were discussing if UCLA was better or UC Riverside was better with the referee, and maybe the referee said, no, it's actually Cal State Northridge, so maybe they all got upset. I don't know. It was a whole thing, but man, that was a quick series of yellows. And all I'm thinking about is, after watching the Charlotte match, where I believe their new number 10 DP gets a red for kicking up at someone, so now he's going to miss the second playoff match in, I don't know, Charlotte's biggest playoff match in their club's history. I'm just worried, like, come on, I just don't need another dumb yellow. Maybe Hollingshead or Long have to make a play on a guy who's got behind him, and now they need a tactical yellow. I just didn't know. Either way, it was a whole thing. I got nervous, Philly. I got nervous.
Yeah, well, you should have gotten nervous when Sam Adekugbe had an attempt that was saved by Hugo Lloris, because that was, I'm not going to say a very dangerous opportunity, but still, Hugo Lloris getting put to the test. But the last thing you want to see is players accumulate yellow cards. You said it. We don't have very many games left. It would be silly for them to get something based on the common foul of dissent, especially when they get to be, now they got to stop being aggressive. And Aaron Long, Ryan Hollingshead aren't prissy people. They're attack-minded, get the ball back, help the offense out kind of players. In particular, Ryan Hollingshead, he's always been part of the offense. He had time playing as a striker at UCLA. Aaron Long, an All-American at UC Riverside. Had to throw that in. But, we had another really cool attempt where CWM Woodwork would flip the scripts. Denny, right around the 60th minute, juggles it to himself a couple of times before connecting with Matty Bogusz. And as I said, there's our old friend, CWM Woodwork. I'm not getting tired of saying that yet. It is funny for me. There's our old friend, this time playing the cheating bastard on us and blocking Matty Bogusz from getting what could have been another goal.
Okay, I've never been more nervous to ask Philly a question, because he's already had 2 bouts of not making this episode very family friendly. But here I go.
What, I thought the word bastard is applicable on TNT. If you could say it.
No, I don't care about that. That actually doesn't bother me as much. What does CWM stand for? Do we know? Is it
how about we tune in later and there's going to be one more mention of him. Maybe I'll just wait and tell you then.
All right. So Philly's going to make it up at some point between now and when I ask about it later. But you're absolutely right. Look, it would have been a playoff goal of the year candidate with the way that Denis Bouanga took those 3 touches and dropped it off for Matt. It looked like a carbon copy of Matty Bogusz's pass to a streaking Kike Oliveira. Unfortunately, Matty got a little bit more under it, banged it off the crossbar. No one was there for it. And then Philly, I've been waiting the entire time to bring this particular moment of the match up with you. In the 65th minute, we have a substitution as Olivier Giroud comes off for one Kai Kamara. And Kai Kamara, part of Major League Soccer history. I know Philly knows what the history is, but I'm just excited to bring it up for this particular reason. Kai Kamara becoming the third field player in Major League Soccer history to play in an MLS Cup playoff game at the age of 40 or older. And the other two absolute legends, but in two different arenas. We got Carlos Valderrama, who, if anybody followed MLS in its early days, he was the rock star of Major League Soccer when this league first started. But Philly, a player who I know you respect and love as part of the indoor game more than maybe any player in the last, 30 or 40 years, well, that would be Preki.
Preki has had, there's so many people that came in through MLS that had backgrounds in indoor. Like, if you really go through the history of Major League Soccer, there are a lot of parallels. There are a lot of people that have had some type of exposure, experience within indoor soccer. Even Brian Schmetzer of the Seattle Sounders head coach, he played for the St. Louis Storm for the longest time. I'm going to be talking about indoor soccer till I'm blue in the face because I want to help build this league. And it doesn't, conflict with MLS. So for those of you who want to get out to an Empire Strikers game, come through. We got Marco Fabian. Hopefully we bring back Miguel Ponce. We got some great players on there. I want you all to see indoor soccer. But just to Scar's point, yes, Preki won. Carlos Valderrama, arguably one of the greatest players to ever come out of the country of Colombia. He was on that 94 team that featured in the World Cup. Unfortunately, the one that had the own goal that led to the defender Escobar getting murdered in Colombia. But Valderrama had a great career playing for the Tampa Bay Mutiny. And that's a really cool kit, by the way. If anybody can come across that, that's something worth having in your collection. Why are you cackling?
Sure.
What do I say?
Those sell for a lot of money, by the way, when those Valderrama Mutiny kits come available. Any Valderrama kit is amazing. Kai Kamara on for Olivier Giroud in the 65th minute. Ilie on for Timothy Tillman in the 81st. Marlon on for Kike Oliveira as well. And again, Kike Oliveira playing that hybrid wingback position. And this would be LAFC really trying to take the air out of the ball, slow some things down. We're up 2-0. But Philly, the moment that everybody was waiting for, 86 minutes in.
The king has returned.
That's right. Carlos Vela, when he ran over by himself, had the moment. And as soon as he started making the jog, you almost heard the Chariots of Fire theme song. Dun, 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 dun. It was like the slow motion. Everything in the stadium slowed down. It seemed like it took 30 to 45 seconds for Carlos Vela to be able to be called in to substitute into the match. Obviously, Philly, you talked about it. His first appearance in a black and gold uniform since MLS Cup. And the cool thing was this. As soon as Aaron Long saw that the substitution call was made, Aaron, who was wearing the captain's armband, which says an awful lot about that kid from UC Riverside, he has been incredible for us this season. Aaron ran right over, and as he said in the press conference, when Carlos Vela is checking in the game, Carlos Vela gets the damn armband. That's what happens. Now, he did come in for Denis Bouanga, Philly, and I asked Denis Bouanga about this in the press conference. I asked him specifically, was this something that you and Steve Cherundolo and Carlos Vela had discussed? What happened there with the situation, with the substitution? And his answer was exactly this. Now, it was in French, but it was basically, I can't wait to be able to play with Carlos Vela. I wish I could have stayed on the pitch with Carlos Vela. He was a little salty, I think, that he had to come off because he said, I always want to stay on the pitch. I never want to come out. But, you know, he's our striker. He's our alpha. He's our talisman for a reason. But Philly, the moment was incredible.
I mean, yeah, it was. And I'll tell you this. The way the whole thing with Carlos Vela played out, I know the team had hope that he would return because he never cleaned out his locker in the performance center. So there was always that hope that he was coming back. But it could have left a sour taste in his teammates' mouths. Like now he shows up late towards the end of the season. Like, what's up with that? Like, can they really respect Carlos the way they did prior to all this? So any of that possible negativity that one could conjure up, because some of us are glass half full and glass half empty peeps, I get that. Clearly that was dissipated right away. And it really was during the U.S. Open Cup when Ilie Sanchez had Carlos Vela lift up the trophy. Carlos seemed a little reluctant to want to do it, as he took zero part in the team's journey to that. But just goes to show you how much the team respects him. Now, he's obviously Carlos. He comes with the accolades. But look, if you and I are hanging out and you disappear for like 11 months and then you decide to come back to a hero's welcome, I may think a little bit twice before handing you your flowers right away. I mean, this is a bad example, of course, but it's just that completely negates itself because of reasons that you just mentioned.
Yeah, look, I think everybody in the stadium was happy, but now we have to start answering the question, well, what does this mean for LAFC moving forward? Does that mean Carlos Vela, one of his first touches, by the way, I think his actual first touch was a set piece in the match. And so is this something where for much of the season, or at least for much of the time that we've had Olivier Giroud, Philly, we've bemoaned the fact that the service hasn't been great. Well, checking in is Carlos Vela. I don't know that you have very many players who give better service on those crosses and everything else than Carlos Vela. Are you okay there?
Yeah, an elite striker doesn't necessarily need the elite service. I mean, I know we've been saying that, but the more you think about it and the more you actually go out and see some of the elite strikers out there, you just have to tune no further than Champions League. And by the way, if anybody saw the Ballon d'Or, that was a travesty. How did Vinicius Jr. not win? Anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But an elite striker just gets the ball and makes things happen. At least that's my opinion. While there might have been, some things, I don't know. The whole concept of him not getting good service now is just kind of getting lost on me. I feel that Olivier is too talented of a player to have to just settle back and worry about that. I feel like he should be able to make some things happen. A tough touch, not a cemented foot touch, not an offside position. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of digressing. I'm oscillating in my own head. Leave me alone.
Well, we get to stoppage time, and we're trying to salt away this victory here. And look, Matty Bogusz off a set piece for about 25 yards and drills the crossbar again. It was as if Matty was playing the crossbar game at the All-Star game. He was, 6 inches away from this being 4-0 going into the 5th minute of stoppage time rather than 2-0. And of course, Philly, that LAFC can't ever make things easy, maybe pulling an Edwin Diaz from the Mets card there. And in the 5th minute, it was the subs that made it happen. It was an ugly ball. It was a bad turnover by Ilie Sanchez, compounded by bad defense by Ilie Sanchez, and a little bit frustrating. Honestly, you got a ball into the box. It's just unnecessary. And I think Steve was pissed after the game. But Damir Kreilach and Sebastian Berhalter will get the assists. It's Ryan Gauld for the goal.
It would start by way of Fafa Pico, though. He got the ball in at ping pong to Berhalter. And there's something about Damir Kreilach. I still suffer from the 2018 PTSD that he implied on us when RSL beat us, as you and I were looking to book flights to go to Seattle because we thought we had this in the bag. Goals courtesy of Christian Ramirez. God, I can't believe I remembered that. But Ryan Gauld finally gets one through. He scored in 2 straight playoff games. Guy's got 4 goals in the last 2 playoff games. First, of course, of which coming against Portland. Ryan Gauld can score, man. That kid is really good. But it wasn't just Steve that was pissed. You could see it in Hugo Lloris's body language. And I can't read lips. I have little lips. So people with little lips have a tough time reading people that have lips as lips. But he was clearly pissed. He wasn't that rah-rah post-game afterwards. He did say the team's performance needs to be better. And he's not wrong. They shouldn't have given up the goal. That should have been a clean sheet.
What do your lips have to do with being able to see other people's lips?
I don't know. I just thought that might be like the thing that handicaps me. Since I don't have any, how could I read them?
I love it. All right. Look,
do whatever you want. One thing's for sure, I'm not boring.
Vancouver could do absolutely nothing with the last couple of minutes. They definitely let time go well past the 5 minutes of stoppage that they said. But LAFC takes it 2-1. And again, oh, how much that goal would have mattered if we were playing on aggregate, but we are not. So LAFC's next match, Philly, Sunday, November 3rd, a week from our last one, at BC Place, 5:45 p.m.
Vancouver, you had better not win, because if they do, then we'll have game 3 at BMO on November the 8th at 8 p.m. So fingers crossed that does not happen.
I love David. David's our resident contrarian, David Day. He's a Clippers fan. He doesn't like the aggregate. He's going all in. I like it. David, keep coming in the chat, man. It is fun to have you. He wants these games away from BMO Stadium at times. It's fun to watch David in the chat. This is always good.
What was fun was hearing what Carlos Vela had to say when he was asked about, what happened today. He goes, in his words, and I quote, "The coach took a bit too long." Vela later joked in Spanish that it should have been a little earlier, but hey, it's a start. He also stated that I feel grateful for all the love and support that the fans have always given me. To return hearing these chants, honestly, it was very emotional, and I'm really happy to be back. You know what that means, Scarf? A happy Carlos Vela is a productive Carlos Vela. So as long as he's happy, he's going to be doing things that make us happy.
Yeah, and look, here's the other thing that Carlos Vela is right now in the playoffs, you guys. He's healthy. He's rested. Things that we've never been able to say about Carlos Vela in the playoffs before. He's healthy and rested. So who knows? Who knows? Look, we've got one more match against Vancouver. If y'all are watching like we are, it was a rousing 0-0 at Houston at Seattle, and it was Seattle winning on PKs 5-4. So Seattle takes the first one. I'm kind of hoping that one doesn't go 3. Although I don't know. I would love to see those two teams beat each other up over the course of 3 games. Obviously, with LAFC getting the winner of Houston and Seattle in that bracket. So it'll be fun to see what happens in that match next weekend. But it doesn't matter. LAFC has got to take care of business, because neither Philly nor I nor many of you want to go back to BMO Stadium to play the 3rd match in this 3-game series against Vancouver.
No, the last thing I want to see is Vancouver at home again. The last thing I want to do is preview Vancouver again. The last thing I want to do is recap Vancouver again. Please, LAFC, save us all some money and some nagging frustrations by going up to Bad Carpet Place and sealing the fate of the Vancouver Whitecaps.
And again, LAFC has not lost in the last 2 years at BC Place, 3-0-1 in those matches. So I'm liking our chances as we head up to BMO. And again, everybody pretty healthy. There was a moment, by the way, where it looked like Tristan Blackman kind of undercut Kai Kamara, and they had some words for a minute, and you thought like, ooh, is Kai okay? Is everything all right? And then Kai popped right up. Like, Kai popped up, and he looked like he was ready to throw hands, but he realized it was a playoff game. He and Tristan had a little talk, and then, by the way, Tristan went over and gave him a little pat and said, "My bad, I get it," which is kind of a bummer because we all love Tristan, and he obviously was one of our own in this one, but I wanted to make sure that Kai Kamara was healthy. And look, Olivier went down hard once. Looks like everybody, though, Philly, coming out of this one pretty healthy and having a week to get right.
Yep. That's a good thing. For once on this podcast, I'm silent.
No, look, I got nothing more. We've talked a lot about Vancouver. We're gonna have to talk one more episode about Vancouver, and I'm excited. I'm excited because after this, we don't have to talk about Vancouver anymore. But that being said, we're about an hour in. We want to thank all of you. We haven't done this in a while. We want to thank the millions.
And millions.
Including CWM Woodwork, of Defenders of the Bank listeners and supporters. So, Philly, to close out the episode, I will ask one more time, what do the initials CWM stand for CWM Woodwork?
You know what I like about new shows like The Penguin?
Okay.
They leave you with a cliffhanger. They make you want to come back to find out what happens. So that being the case, tune in next time, and perhaps I will unveil the acronym that is CWN Woodwork. Ruben in the chat did say he thinks he knows what the acronym stands for. I'll say this. DM the Defenders account. If it's anything remotely similar to what the name actually is, I will personally give you a free Defenders of the Bank scarf and some stickers from our good friends at Warrior Printing. We've got a lot of really cool stickers. I've got a good Mets one as well. I'm sure none of you want that one. But either way, tune into the next pod and learn of the identity of this mysterious CWM Woodwork.
Bye-bye. I got